Welcome to this first video in modern Python. This is part of the tutorial series we're doing on natural language processing. So the first thing that we're going to do before we start programming in Python is to install Python. So Python is one of the programming languages which is a very nice, easy language that you can learn with a very limited vocabulary. It's very easy. It's not as difficult as learning a completely different language such as Spanish or French or any other languages. This is an artificial language that we can use to communicate to computers. It's very easy, as you see. So the first thing that we have to do before we start programming is to install the actual Python. So there are several ways that we can do this installation. The first one is to just download Python from python.org. So this is like just bare bones. It's just pure Python. So the way it is, it's like buying a new phone without any apps. And as you know, we have to install apps later on that we will need. But here, since we're going to do Python in natural language processing, so we kind of know some of the apps that we're going to need. So in programming specifically, we just call them libraries because we have to use them in our programs. They're not like something that you can use like a camera. We can combine these libraries to come up with our own program. So it's a very good idea to use libraries so that we don't spend time reinventing the wheel. And as you know, as humans, we do well with this collective intelligence where we build on each other's intelligence. So that's what we're going to do here. So what we're going to install is Anaconda, which comes with bundled with the packages that we're going to need, except for a few, but we'll find that most of them that we need, they'll come with Anaconda. So we're going to install Anaconda. So here I have the link to Anaconda. I'll put it in the description. So here what I have opened is installation on Windows. I also have the installation on Mac, and the installation is almost the same. So for this specifically, I'm going to go through installation on Windows, but it's the same as installation on Mac. So the first thing that you have to do is to download Anaconda, so which is step 1 here. So just click on this link and wait a bit for Anaconda to download. So once it downloads, just double click on the file as usual, just as if you're installing any other app. And I'll use the screenshots here. Since they've already taken the screenshots, I don't have to do it. So as I mentioned, collective intelligence, we build on each other's effort. So here, once you double click on Anaconda, it's going to open this, and here you don't have to do anything, just use the default, just say next. And here, so the second step is very important. Just ensure that you register Anaconda as your default. And in the third step, you don't really need to install PyCharm, so just click next. Instead of PyCharm, we're going to use VS Code because it's easy to use, it's fast, and it's small. You don't have to download a big file. So we're just going to use VS Code. But later on, as you go on, you might need to use something with more features, and at that point you can download PyCharm. But for now, you don't really need to download PyCharm. So just click next here, and here just leave the defaults and click finish. So that concludes the installation of Anaconda, which is a bundled version of Python with other libraries that we're going to use, especially for artificial intelligence. It comes with almost all of the libraries that we'll need. So for Mac, you see it's the same thing also. Just click install there. Once you double click on it, and you can select install for me only and continue, and here you just close. So you see on Mac there even fewer steps. So the next thing that we have to do is to verify that Python has been installed, and for that we'll go to the terminal, and on Windows you have to go to CMD or command prompt. So the commands are basically the same that I'm going to use here. I'm using a Mac, so don't worry, the commands won't be different. You type exactly the same commands on Windows and it will work just fine. So let me move now to the terminal. So here I'm in the terminal now. As you can see at the very beginning, it shows that environment. So I can now verify by typing Python -- version, and you see that I'm using Python 3.8, and our tutorial will be based on this version of Python 3.8. So the next thing that we have to do is now to create an environment, and usually people learn about environment later on, but I think for us to have a good understanding of what's going on, it's better we do everything the right way just from the word go. So what we're going to do is to create a new environment. And you might ask, why do you need the new environment? So here what we have is our main installation of Python, which is termed as the base environment. So if anything goes wrong to this environment, we might, for example, if we break Python, we might need to reinstall Anaconda again, which is not a very good thing. So what we do is to create a separate environment depending on the project that we are working on. And usually if you have two projects that use the same libraries, you don't really need to create a new environment. But when you know that a different project will need different libraries, it's better to create a new environment so that you don't have conflicts between libraries. So to create a new environment, it's very easy. You just type conda create -- name. So that's the name of the environment. Here we'll call it NLP. And since we've installed Anaconda, which comes with other packages, we don't want to lose those packages, so we have to clone this. We'll clone the base so that we can have all the packages that we installed, so that we don't have to download new packages from the internet. So hit enter here, and it will show you the destination and the number of files and packages. So as you can see, it comes with a lot of packages. So here the 106 packages and around 26,000 files. So we just wait for that to finish, and then I'll pause the video here for a little bit as I wait for this process to complete. Okay, so resuming the video, you can see that it's finished preparing the transaction, it's verifying the transaction, and now it's executing the transaction. So that's just running the creation of this environment. So we just wait a little bit for that to finish. So that has completed, as you can see, and it gives us what we need to type for us to use that environment, and what we have to do if we want to deactivate the environment. So we can just use this command. So here just type conda activate NLP. So now I'm in this environment NLP, and now we can see a few things. What is in NLP? We can just say conda list, and you see these are the packages that have been cloned from the other environment into this environment. So this is a very nice thing. We don't have to install anything. So one other thing that you might want to do is maybe you've messed up the environment, you want to remove it. How do you do that? So it's very easy. or if you forget the name and you want to see the environment that you created, so you can just type conda info imps, and this will show you the environments that you have on your laptop. As you can see, for me, I have base, en, flk, keras, and nlp, the one I just created. So now if we want to remove one environment that we don't need, we can just say conda remove, and the name of the environment we want to remove. Here I'll pick the second one because I really don't need that environment. I'll say en a dash dash. I want to remove everything about that environment, and enter. So just wait, and it will ask whether you want to do that. Just say yes with a Y. So these are the options. You have Y or N. So Y is yes. You can see here it's in brackets, meaning it's the default. So if you just type enter without entering, the command is going to think you said yes. So here I'll just say Y. So that has finished, and we can verify again conda info imps, and you see that it has removed the en. So that's it about conda and creating the environment. So just remember that the concept of environments is very important, and you have to understand why we have to do this, to avoid having clashes between different library versions, because each library will have its own requirements, or that is the dependencies of packages that it uses, and as you install different packages with conflicting dependencies, you can end up having a problem. So that's why we create an environment for each project that we're using. So that's it about conda, and I'll just clear my screen. And now the next thing that we have to do is to install our code editor. So as you know, we have to write a program, and now how do we write a program? We need the code editor. So for example, when you're writing something, maybe using Microsoft Word, so that's like for natural language, you write things in Microsoft Word so that you can see a nice display. But Microsoft Word, because it formats your text, it's not really nice for code. So here we're going to use Visual Studio Code, or short is just called VS Code. So I'll go back to the browser, just show you the link to VS Code and what you have to do to download and install VS Code. So here's the link. First, here's the link to creating and managing environments. So I'll put this in the description so you can see basically what we did is listed here. And if you forget any of the commands, you can still refer to this file, this documentation. So I'll put the link to this, and I also put the link to VS Code. So we'll download VS Code. So here I'm on a Mac, so it's they have pre-selected for me download Mac Universal. So if you're using Windows, just click on this right drop down bar, and it will show you the menu, and you can pick whichever you want. So if you're on Windows, pick Windows. On Linux, pick Linux, and on Mac, pick Mac version. Or if you want, you can go to the bottom and you see the different versions that you select that you can install. So for Windows, so that's for Windows 7, 8, 10, and for Linux, Ubuntu, and also for Mac. So just download your version and install it. It's just as installing any other software on your laptop or desktop or whatever you're using. Is just the same process. So once you finish the installation, you might want to see your VS Code. So let me just show you how to open VS Code from the terminal. The other way is to just search for it in your installed apps, or from your start menu. So here, let me show you how to open it using the terminal. So the first thing that I've done is I've created a folder where I'm going to save all the files for this tutorial series, and so I'll just go to that folder or the directory. So to go to the directory, both on Windows and Mac or Linux, you just type cd and the name of the directory. So here I've called it modern Python. So I'll go there, then I'll just type code and a full stop. So this will open VS Code in this file. So as you can see, VS Code is now open. So it will ask whether you trust the author. So since it's yourself, I'll just say yes. And so in this modern Python, I don't have any files. So now it can allow me to create a file either here in new file, or you can create a file here. But before we do that, the first thing that we have to do is to install Python extension on VS Code. So just go on extensions and search for Python. This will Python, just click on Python and you'll see that it has a lot of downloads. So right now it's almost at 38 million downloads. So and click install that. I already have it installed here, so I don't have to do that. So I'll go back to File Explorer. So it has several tabs that you can pick from. So I'll go back to File Explorer. And to create a file, I can just click here and I'll just call it Getting Started. And to save a Python program, you have to put the extension.py. So this creates a Python file, and you see the first thing that it asks is that I haven't selected any environment for Python. So you can select the environment here, or you can click here on the bottom left, just there, and pick your Python version. So the environment that we created is NLP, so I'll just go ahead and select that. So now we have everything set up and ready to go into now the actual Python programming. So for this installation video, I'm going to end it here. Thank you for joining me. So in the next video, we're going to get started with the actual programming, the syntax and everything. We'll start with the basics of Python.